Here we go. I
Perfect.
can see both of us.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. How are you doing,
Awesome.
man? What's happening in London? That's where Anthony is right now, in London. What's happening, man?
Yeah, basically in London we're talking about this current situation. Basically they established a lockdown, and recently they did it, and people are starting to understand how to deal with this, but basically you can see a few people going around me with masks, taking care of the distance, and other people just wandering around normally. That's the situation at the moment.
I think that is the problem in most places in the world right now. They're not really understanding what's going on.
Yeah, I believe so. It seems so. As an Italian, I'm living in London, so I experience all this happening here in London from far away, watching what's happening in my homeland, and it seems that they were fast to try to do all they could,
Mm-hmm.
even with mistakes probably, but it seems that they were the first to adopt this lockdown and to be real scared of the coming up of all this. And it seems that other countries, they needed a longer time to adopt these measures. And
Yes.
in UK, that's one of these countries, I do believe.
And what is the latest from back home, man? What's going on there?
In my country, in
Yes.
Italy.
Yes, in Italy.
Yeah, basically, Italy has been locked down for weeks now. They're dealing with this, and there's a terrible situation up in North Italy, near Milano, where it's the most industrialized area. And basically, we have problems all around Italy, but it seems to be mostly in Lombardia, Veneto, and so in those regions in the north. As far as we can tell, it's kind of slowly working, and it's not spreading around throughout the whole nation, and hopefully things are slowly getting better. That's all I can understand from
Yes.
news and stuff.
Yes. Yes. Fingers crossed for that, man. Fingers crossed for that.
Fingers crossed for our planet, my friend.
Yes, that
Fingers
is true.
crossed, always.
All humanity, all humanity. You know,
All
that's
humanity,
what I
yeah.
feel. If everyone just starts thinking on a bigger vision, none of this should happen then, otherwise everyone is thinking about their own little, in my culture, they say thinking about your own little space, but we should think like mostly in the rock scene, in the international music scene, it's all humanitarian in a lot of ways. You have these stars from the 60s, the 70s doing stuff in 1971. George Harrison did the concert for Bangladesh. If you saw that, that was one of the best things. So,
Yeah.
it's just up to us, I think, up to people of the world.
Well, actually, that's very correct. I don't know if what is happening it's a mistake or anything else. I can think about many things, but I'm basically ignorant about what's going on. So I can have an idea, but whatever it is,
Yes.
we must rise up with a new consciousness, with a new knowledge. We will not accept anything less than a better world. This is our occasion to start think not on our own backyard, but start to think that we are part of one cell, one planet. We are part of this universe. If we're not happy, if our neighbor is not happy, we're not happy. And I will take this place in time to say that once this is over, and we'll be happy to walk out and go back to our music or to aperitivo or to our beautiful life, how will we still accept that there are children in Africa dying when in 1 month and a short amount of money, the international community will be able to sort it out? How will we accept that there is still pollution and there are still non-biodegradable items be produced? How can accept that there still will be war in any name, in the name of peace or in any for any? We will not accept. We cannot be happy if there are children dying, if there is a problem. Otherwise, we are monsters. So I believe that lots of people in this world will come out and rise again with a higher consciousness. And I hope I'm one of those persons, my friend.
Yeah, I hope we all are. Anthony, that is beautiful words, man. That is very well said. Like a true poet, you've spoken with like a true poet, man. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Going back, one of my first, when I went to school in the 90s, I was slowly getting, I was into rock and metal and everything, but I was getting in touch with this, with beautiful poetry and feeling, This was, and one of my favorite films from back in the day is this film called Il Postino.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful movie with a great Italian Napoletan actor.
Yes,
it's fantastic.
Yes. I love that movie, and that gave me, that's what films should do. It should really like have a flavor of the land, of the people, and you really, I'm not saying that you totally understand Italy, but I feel it gives you a very good flavor of what Italia is,
Italian movies, since the past, they are very European movies in general, also French movies, they're very connected to human being, to feelings. It's way less than Hollywood, where you have exploding guns all over, which will be cool sometimes, but European cinema is more concentrated on the feelings of the person, and it has always been like that. So we have a long culture in this, not only Italians, but we are one of the most into this. So I believe so. You are completely right.
Yes. So man, shall we just start with if I start with the interview? So many people would like to know, how does Anthony Drago get into music in the first place? What happened, man, back in the day? Tell us everything.
Okay, as far as I can remember, when I was 7, because I was in love with monsters, my father used to take me to the zoo, but mostly I wanted to go to the zoo because in front of the zoo there was a stall, a small stall, selling all these dinosaurs and snakes and stuff. And so I was into all this. I was very expert in dinosaurs. I love those kind of things who are not around us today, fantasy. So one day my mother came up with a big poster. It was around 1977, probably, and with a kiss with makeup. And my mother said, I don't know this band, but you love monsters, and I believe this is a band you will love. Then, after that, around the age of 12, I started to become a true metalhead. I was into music. I used to listen to lots of music when I was young, but then I got into rock music since the age of 12. Something weird. About when I was the age of 10 and 11, I used to sing every night in Japanese in front of 2,000 people. Even if I didn't know Japanese, I just knew all the songs from this Japanese robots cartoon, the manga. And I was in those villages by, like holiday villages in the 80s were so popular. And I had my show, Anthony Drago, every single night, when there was a Greek amphitheater, and it was so full, and I was making a show beats, singing some Japanese song which I didn't know the words at all. I just knew the sound, and I experienced being an entertainer in the holiday places when I didn't get paid for this. It was just, you
Wow.
know,
Wow.
crazy.
For
And
12
then
years,
when sorry.
I'm saying for a 12-year-old, that's a lot of confidence, man. You need a lot of confidence to do that. Yeah.
Well, when I was 12, I started to love rock music. I approached all this metal music and rock music. Then, obviously, I started singing at the age of 15. At the age of 15, and I was totally into metal. But of course, thank God, I'm still a true metalhead today.
Yes.
But since the age of 15, I started to dig other music, be into other music. So I was doing jam session with many bands in Rome, from funky to blues to rock. I started to love all progressive music, reggae, whatever. I was into jazz slowly. And I mean, if you are a metalhead or if you are a lovers of any particular kind of music, you should know the history of music. You should know as much of music it's surrounding you. Otherwise, what is that? Music is music, and then you feel your own way, your best way of expression. That's what I think. I mean,
Yes.
I don't understand people who just listen to death metal or just to drum and bass, because it will narrow your view and narrows your mind. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Josh, good to have you. Yeah, good to have our audiences back. Thank you. And so back in the day, in the 80s, I believe the Italian scene was also growing very fast, like the whole European scene was growing. I feel the Italian, like I think the mainstream metal scene, but also like more extreme bands, like towards the mid and the late 80s, like Bulldozer, for example. I know, you know, yeah. Bulldozer is one of my favorite bands from back in the day, man. You know, I never heard somebody so like, it was like more extreme Motorhead for me, you know? Yeah.
Well, exactly. When I was, Italian metal is very historical. It's one of the most historical scene in the world, together with England and Germany. We had a lot of bands, especially the most historical of all bands, which it's you know, a monument, and they're still around. And I'm lucky because I'm friend of the singer. We play many times together. Strana Officina. Strana Officina is like, you know, legendary from 1975. And there were a lot of extreme bands in the 80s. Bulldozer was a trio, Venom alike. I used to know. I played with Bulldozer in their reunion in Milano, and now they are a bigger band than that.
Wow.
And of course, Italian metal has a long tradition. But what I found out when we did the reunion with Fingernails in 2004, that all this music was truly rediscovered by the world and by the kids, even more than their contemporary kids in the 80s, which were truly supporting. But then the support and the respect for all this band, not only Italian, but from all over Europe and elsewhere, was so much bigger, and they were considered a legend later. And that would happen to my ex-band as well, because we were playing and we were so out of trend. We couldn't even realize that nobody could give a shit about us. And suddenly we found ourselves in this rediscovered scene that was, I can define this from the 2003 till now, you know, or till a few years ago, but still going on. So many of those bands are reunited. So we basically had a scene with all those band, historical band reuniting and still bringing up, keeping the flame alive, and a bunch of new bands. So after that, I believe the Italian scene was even more and more interesting. You know, that's what I believe. Because, so Bulldozer were great, Raw Power, and so many bands. I could go on forever. I stop here because I might forget the big important names. But
Yeah,
of course.
but for me, like, you know, the bands more extreme were like, of course, Bulldozer, and then Necro Death, I think as well was.
I I play with all those bands. Necrodeath, I believe we play together in southern Germany. I play with Bulldozer. I play many times with Strano Officina, and on and on and on.
Wow.
I know all this band. I know some of them personally, and I'm very glad that they had a big comeback since the year 2000s, and most of them are still going on. So this is fantastic.
Yeah. So you said something like about a reunion of Fingernails in 2002, yeah, or three.
2004.
Four. So, I mean, we all know that Fingernails has been around since the 80s, yeah? So were you friends with, like, give everyone a history about how Fingernails started, and then how was your connection with them earlier on? Of course, you were very active part of the scene, so you knew them as well, right? But
Yeah.
how did you end up basically, you know, before this, the guitar player was actually doing the vocals, and you know, how did that come about that you became the singer for the next maybe 15 years, 14 years you were singing as frontman, you know?
Something like that. Actually, when I came back from Los Angeles, I started to play with the mighty Caledon from Rome, which is one of the most popular power metal bands from Italy, and probably the most known from Rome. And I started with Caledon, and we played for a few years together, and then I was called into the Rough Reunion, which is another historical band from Rome, which was very popular in the 80s. And basically, when I was playing with Rough, the Rough called me and they say, "You're gonna be the singer." And I told him, "No, man, you are the singer. I'll come on stage to support you." And they say, "No, I play the bass. I need a singer." I say, "Okay, I'll come." And I went. They were looking for an extra guitar player, so I reached out to Bidoli Angus, the guitar player from Fingernails, who was friend with the band, and he joined the Rough. So we started playing together into the Rough. We played together for a couple, 3 years.
This
And
is
we
in
played
early 2000, yeah? Just getting an
Yes,
idea of the time.
yeah. From '98 when I joined Caledon,
Yeah.
then I joined the Rough in 2000. We played many shows with Hurraya Heap and many good bands, fantastic. But the guitar player original from Fingernails was dragged into the Rough, so we were already playing together. Then when the Rough stopped again, or they were doing something else, he came to my home and told me, "Anthony, let's do Fingernails. I had a dream, we can do Fingernails again. I never had a singer, so we're gonna have a 4-member lineup." And so we started, and that's why we got Fingernails together, because we were already playing into the Rough. Fingernails was started in 1981.
Wow.
They had some demos throughout the 80s, and they were playing around in Rome a lot. And then in 1988, or 89, I think 88, they were signed by Cobra Records, and they released the historical first album. The first album was popular in the underground in Europe and elsewhere, although the band was still playing in Italy and around Rome or somewhere in Italy, so they never had the chance to play abroad. Then, because they lost the drummer, no, first they split up. Sorry, I'm trying to recall my
No
friend. It's a lot
problem.
of
It's
stuff.
good. It's a history lesson, man. It's something for me. I really love
It's crazy.
listening to this.
So they split up after a couple of years after this album Fingernails was released, and they stopped. I mean, they went part ways. They were doing different stuff. Then in the mid-90s, they lost the drummer. He died, and so there were no Fingernails for years and years. So then the guitar player came to play with me into the Rough. We played for 2 years in a row. And then he decided to rebuild Fingernails with a singer lineup in the lineup. So we were 4. And we started, it was 2004, I do believe. He came to my home, we started rehearsal, we were 4 guys, and we started rehearsal and working on the comeback album. And basically, we were called by 2 labels in the same day. Old Metal Records from Virginia, which is led by King Foley from
Oh yeah,
Disease. He's still a
yes.
friend of mine, and
Wow, I
he's a
love
great guy.
Disease, man. I love Disease. Yeah.
Disease is fantastic. There's an album, Fearless Undead Machines. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, and basically the other label who contacted us was Nuclear War Now from California, which is a very popular vinyl label.
Yes.
And so we were recording this album, the comeback album, it's called Hell and Back. So we released Hell and Back first in America. Then we started to tour again. We released Destroy Western World.
Wow, my favorite album.
I think it's the most popular, even if it was recorded on a very low budget, and
Wow,
it sounds a bit fashion.
No, but it sounds so like I can't forget the moment when I listened to it like so many years back, you know, the intro with the drums and it tug 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 tug, and then it explodes into this.
Yeah, I basically think that album is worth it because of the main 3 songs, which will be Christ, Destroy Western World, Getting Better, straight to the point. Yeah, it's a very good album, and it's one of the most famous. It sold a lot of copies. It was reprinted on vinyl in Germany, reprinted in Chile, downloaded for free everywhere. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's one of the best. Then after that, we released so many albums. We were releasing something like 2-3 albums or best of or compilation in a year. We released Getting Crazy, which was a split vinyl with Villains from New York City. We released Alles Verboten, which is the best-selling album we had so far, and it's fantastic.
It's a great album.
It's a great album. We released also a lot of stuff that now I probably missed to name, but we released also the remake of the first album, re-recorded by the lineup who was bringing those songs for years and reels all over Europe. So there is also an album, the first album re-recorded in 2013. So we had a lot of release. But what I want to remember here, it's all the magic, all the kids that came to our concert, all the true energy that we had on stage with me, Angus, Carlo El Charlo, Big Richard on bass. We were truly something incredible. And although our videos didn't have like 100,000 views, some of our videos have 1,000 views, 30,000 views, I mean, very cult, very small. Even that, all our shows were so crowded, so busy, so crazy. I couldn't, every time I was shocked to see how many kids, how many old school rockers came to our show. So whatever, whatever happened later, I just want to keep in mind those good moments, those great energy that we share truly with all our heart. So there's a lot of good stuff that is in my mind, and I will keep that with me.
Yeah,
I hope same for the people.
For sure, man. I mean, for me, the biggest thing was I think I got into fingernails very late. I mean, maybe 15, 16 years back, around the time when I think the reunion happened. And I think this was the time where with MySpace, if you remember MySpace, I think
definitely.
This is when we were in touch as well, me and you. And it was, I think the main energy for me also for fingernails was the fact that you guys didn't give a shit, man. You guys were playing rock and roll music, It was like nothing else that you hear, because there's no pretension, There's no pretension that I want to sound like thrash or like flashy or this and that. It was like straight down rock and roll and dirty, very raw sounding, very dirty sounding. That's what I love the sound. So tell us a little bit about maybe you just mentioned that Destroy Western World was recorded on a very small budget. Yeah, tell us something about the process of that recording, man.
Yeah, the first two albums were basically recorded in the rehearsal room, and basically on a 40 euro budget, something like that. And they sound lo-fi, but they had their own fashion. They are fascinating sound. And then we were able to go into the studio in Tivoli, in Rome, and we had a fantastic sound, still keeping it true and raw, but we had a better sound. We were a kind of speed metal punk band, so
Yes.
we were not a thrash band. We were not nothing particular, but we were considered into the thrash or into the classic speed metal. So we were always with other bands, but basically we were a bit different.
Yeah, because
yeah.
I know now that you mentioned, there's a lot of punk element, like very early proto-punk elements going on over there. So
Yeah.
So when you went to Tivoli, that was for which record was that?
We record lots of stuff. We recorded in Tivoli first the Motorrad tribute that we released together with your super band Dusk and many other bands from America, from everywhere, and unbelievable, from Asia, from South America, Europe. And that was the first time we recorded there. Then we recorded Alles Verboten, which is probably the best recorded and the best album. And then we recorded the remake of the first album and lots of stuff. Also, we were using other studios, but yeah, the first two albums are recorded basically at home. The rest were recorded in the studio.
That's great. That's great. And your singing influences, Anthony, they're so, like, you can hear so many things. You know, you can hear some. I don't know. Sometimes I feel that, you know, there's a lot of like heavy blues influence as well, and sometimes I feel very punk rock as well with a lot of your vocals and the way you pace your vocals, the way you phrase your vocals. So who's your influences when it comes to vocalists, man?
It's hard to tell because I have a lot of influences. Basically, I always love rock, metal, all the greatest singers, but I always love jazz, like my favorite singer of all time, which I don't even want to compare, even in a short way, but it's Sarah Vaughan, the jazz singer. I love Chaka Khan because she screams and she's so incredible. And I used to listen to dark music and reggae, but mostly rock, so blues, black singers, like not black metal, but from a black sound heritage, and all this speed metal singer, and obviously the biggest name, like, it's easy to tell, like Dio or Alf or many other singers. But basically, David Lee Roth has always been one of my favorites because he's so blues and he's incredible. But basically, I always try to learn. Another legendary singer that I was studying day and night when I was a kid is Al Jarreau, that you for sure you know. So it's very weird. And I'm not scared to say that I love Al Jarreau or Chaka Khan, because if someone will think that I'm not true metal, I don't have anything to prove. I'm metal. It's my life. My life I'm a living proof, like many of us. So, you know, I just have a lot of influences. Of course, metal runs strong into my blood, into my veins, and it's all part of this. But I love all kind of music, which, you know, there's not a particular style. So I'm glad I had the chance to play since I was 15 with open-minded musicians that were older than me, and they brought me into all that, you know. And I had the chance to open my mind right away and study a lot of different singers, you know. That's my That's my story.
Bravo, bravo. And you mentioned that when in the early 2000s you came back from LA and then you went back to LA later on. So what is the LA connection, my friend?
Okay, when I was 15, we had a fantastic studio in Rome, and we were playing with a bunch of musicians. I had a kind of a contemporary rock funk band who was called Chain Reaction, with a great guitar player. Now he's a producer from Italy, Fabio Balestrieri, and we grew up together in this band. And then at a certain point, it was 1988, we decided to drop everything, and we just went to LA. We moved to California with other two friends of us, West E and Rootsman King, which is a friend of mine who sings reggae, crazy guy. And we were like four crazy brothers. We went to LA, and we were living in the Hollywood of the time, so it was amazing, crazy. I have to say that we were some of the craziest people ever end up in that city, in that period.
Tell us something about it. Tell us one crazy story. Come on, you have to.
Man, it's never ending. We were living crazy. We were living in at the end we were living in Hollywood, in the same building that Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses used to live before us. We didn't know, and we end up to meet the great band from LA, Sister Whiskey,
wow,
who was very big and popular on the strip at the time. We had a lot of crazy stories. I experienced the LA riot of 1992 when the police beat up Rodney King, and 1 year later, I mean this happened 1 year before, and 1 year later the hell broke loose and all the population of Los Angeles turned into a riot because of the verdict of the trial. And we experienced a lot of stuff. We experienced playing around, and man, I don't know. If I start talking about that, we will need 10 hours. We were signed by a very famous producer from Italy, international, Beppe Cantarelli, who then introduced us to a person who now is my brother for life, which is Larry Dunn from Earth, Wind and Fire. He's the original keyboard player and one of the founding members. And because I was introduced to him, then he helped us. We were produced by him, and we became brothers for life with him and his family, and we still are. And there's a lot of crazy story, man.
So you experienced the Sunset
crazy.
Strip back in the late 80s and the early 90s, yeah? That was a crazy time, huh?
Man, it was incredible. We used to live around in LA, but we used to live in Hollywood. Man, you will walk out at night, and it's impossible to explain what was, even from someone who's from LA now. It's impossible for me to explain. You were just walking out and there was everything. Crime, shotguns, reggae, funky, fusion, new jack swing, heavy metal. There was a lot of stuff going on, good and bad all together. And you were just dragged out in the night, and you couldn't come back home until 2-3 days. And
wow,
it was amazing, man. And we were living in a building, the building you used to live with Sister Whiskey, that, man, basically all the apartments were open. Everybody was playing guitar, and if you just walk by, they will give you a beer. And it was crazy, man. It was so people were so connected, and it was even dangerous, but it was fantastic, man. Amazing. A lot of music live. Incredible. And this was until 1992. So after the riot, I will define in my own life the 1992, the riot of Los Angeles, like the end of the 80s, in my personal opinion. You know, it's not in 1989 when the wall of Berlin came tumbling down. In my own opinion, my own experience is 1992. So we had a lot of incredible stories. Then we moved back to Europe at a certain point after that. And I started digging again into the rock scene in Europe. I've been lucky because after this, the scene in LA, in America, the metal scene, and I believe also in England, collapsed. It went real down, but never in Europe. In Europe, it was growing stronger and stronger with new kids joining and new metal styles. So
Yeah.
Europe has always been the
Yes.
epicenter of the heavy metal, the powerhouse. And so I found myself into the European scene. I found myself playing with many bands. And that's why then I got connected with Caledon, with this and that. I used to go to all the festivals, you know. But back in LA was amazing. It was a truly important experience of my life and of my friend's life. And there's a lot to see, but I don't think we have enough time. So
But
my friend,
and
tell
and,
me,
and,
you
and
can
what
ask me.
about tell us about the record label, man? Because your record label that you started is one of my favorite names that anybody could. L.A. Riot Survivor Records, man. That is like crazy, some crazy stuff there. You know, tell us something about that, man. How did that happen? What was the inspiration?
It's about life, you know, because I'm one of those LA riot survivors, basically.
Now we know.
So, no, I am, because I survived that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Now you told us. Yeah.
yeah, then now you know, sorry, I didn't get it. So I decided, together with my associated, my friend, the bass player, Richard, he told me, Anthony, you are a LA Riot survivor, so let's call the label a Riot Survivor. I say, why not? Because it's about celebrating a revolution, but the revolution means that people is looking for freedom, maybe in a wrong way, maybe in an impulsive way because of events, but it's like, I consider that one of those moments where people it's like reaching out for freedom. So I'm an LA Riot survivor, so the name is truly represent me somehow, and it's cool, you know, it came out naturally. And we started the label in 2010, but we were already, I've been organizing lots of concerts before that, putting connection band. I was organizing tour for my bands, and also I've been working a lot in theater as a technical director, promoter, and in cinema because I was doing soundtracks, working with big names of cinema. So I had all this, and it came naturally to start a label. And we started the label in 2010. So far we released, I don't know, 25, 30 albums. And we put all our energy into that, not only in our bands, but even in producing young and historical artists. It's a lot of effort, my friend. You don't want to think about the money. You want to think about, money will come, it's all right, but you do it because you want to support the scene.
Yeah,
You feel
sure.
it in your heart. If you want to make money, you don't start probably an independent company. You start, you start selling food or whatever you want, you know. It was from the heart. It was to put something in the scene as well, to our contribution. And the good thing is, when I came, until 2015, my label was in Rome, was located in Rome. And then, when Fingernail split, me and my bass player went to California again. I went to Minnesota, where I have a lot of friends, and I want to say hello to them because they are the best. And Minneapolis is a wonderful city of music, truly fantastic. But we went back to Los Angeles to record a blues album that has been produced by Larry Dunn from Earth, Wind and Fire. So my friend helped us with the production. It was amazing to go back to LA in a professional way. And so when we came back, I moved to London in 2015, and I opened office. The LA Riot Survivors also opened office in London. And I started basically from scratch again because I wanted to do things more and more professional. Because, with the experience, you realize that you can do something on a higher level.
Yes.
And it took me a few years to reorganize everything. And now we are launching for the 10th anniversary. We are soon going to launch a new fantastic website, very professional. We have new releases. And basically,
And the same name, yeah?
Oh, of course.
Of course, bravo, great. And tell us, Anthony, tell us about the great bands that you featured, because we have another 15 minutes before we end.
Oh my God, yeah.
So how did you make that tribute, Motorhead tribute, and there was something which is so unique, you know, and I just felt truly, first of all, thank you for having us on it, because we felt very honored, but this was such a great idea. And how did you get all those bands on it? I mean, it had a really big spectrum. Like, it had Abigail from Japan, it had us from Pakistan, it had America, it had the Villains, which is a great band.
The Villains and Wild Dogs from America.
And Sunglasses After Dark.
Evil Invaders from Belgium. Sunglasses After Dark from Rome. Oh my God, The Inflated from Holland. I'm sure gonna forget some name. Sorry about that.
So these are all your friends, yeah? It was all bands that you know, yeah?
Not all. Basically, every time I do a tribute, I would like to do it in 1 year, but then to do things right, it took me 3-4 years to assemble everything. And we always want to have representing bands from all over the continent. So some bands were my friends, but some we really wanted to have big names of the underground, not big, but historical, people who have something to say. So it took a long time to assemble. And for us, having Dusk from Pakistan, which believe maybe we were one of the first to release you in Europe. I don't want to, sorry. And for us was such an honor, and your track is one of the best recorded ones.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
That's true.
Thank you. How was it? How was Abigail possible on the tribute from Japan?
Yasusuke is a great person. He was so kind, and we have a new project coming on with him as well. We've been on hold for some time now, but we will have it all together. And he's a great person. We used to play together in Germany twice. He used to send me T-shirt in Rome. I mean, it's fantastic. So why not? Abigail from Japan, it's amazing. Yeah. So we had the chance to have him on.
And I think Big Richard's band, Hammer, was also Hammer, yeah.
Hammer, yeah.
Hammer. Yes.
Hammer.
Hammer.
Yeah, they're featuring on this as well as many other bands, and also the artwork was it's from Baron from Sunglasses After Dark, which is this punk band from Rome. Really, I have to thank all the people who joined this. It's amazing, and it's amazing to do something together. So
tell us something about your future projects. Tell us something about what you're doing now, man. What can we expect I hope this situation with current global pandemic is becoming better, hopefully. We are praying and we are hoping with our hearts, but after this, what is on the cards, man, for rock and roll and Anthony Drago, my friend?
Yeah, basically we're launching the new website. I have some releases which I would like to say we have very good releases, but I cannot disclose the name yet because but it's coming up, a lot of stuff. And basically I'm working on my own project for a long time, with my own band finally. With I'm famous for reunite bands or coming out, but this is my own project, and so I'm soon be able to release this new band, which is truly from my heart. I took a lot of time to find within me what I wanted to tell the world, something to say for real, a true story of mine. So I'm gonna come out with a new band. I'm still working in theater and movies. I recently participated to a fantastic festival in southern Italy, in Polignano a Mare, where I released a new song, and I had the chance to work with dancers and musicians, but it's like avant-garde, it's not commercial. I'm organizing, and I used to organize concerts in London. I had Evil Invaders and many other bands in London recently in the past years.
You told us in Camden City, yeah?
Camden Town, yeah, I
Camden Town.
organized Evil Invaders, another festival with a band that was producing Perversion 99 and many other bands. So, and I'll be happy. I'm also, every year or so, we have a festival of the LA Riot Survivor Records, which is called the LA Riot Survivor Feast. And we're going to have a new one because it's the 10th anniversary. I don't know if it's going to, every year we have a new city. It was held in Rome, it was held in London, so I cannot tell you exactly, but it will be this year in a new location, in one of those locations. I'm really focused on the label, on producing new artists, and on releasing my own project, which I truly believe, because I took all the time I need to live in London, to have new stories to tell, and, you know, to go around the world in those years and, you know, find my own new way to tell truly what is in my heart. Then, if they like it, I'm happy. If they don't like it, I try to be as honest as possible.
Of course, it's always the same. Any bands from the UK that you're looking to work with, or you've been friends?
Yeah,
I'm sure you've been friends with many bands, yeah.
Of course, I've been also organizing shows in Italy from bands from UK. And promoting some bands. I don't want to say names because if I say one guy and I forget the rest, but basically I'm interacting with many bands. I was so crazy to drive in the car from Canterbury to Rome with the car as a tour manager because I didn't want to. You know, I organized gigs in Europe, but then at the last moment I said, guys, I'll jump in the car because whatever happened, I'll be there with you. Crazy stuff. So I'm doing all I can. Now with this coronavirus, we're a bit holed up and we're working from home. But we're going to interact with Europe, with London. I have to thank all the people I met these years in London because truly I met a lot of good people who accept me. In the scene, and they open arms to me, and there's a lot of good people who works in the underground, and it's not easy because in those big cities like Rome or London or Paris, there's a lot of metal, but people is more trendy alike, you know, it's more, so the people does try hard to keep the scene alive, and I really did my best, and they do their best. I'm interacted as much as I can with a very humble level, from, you know, a truly personal way. So expect a lot because we are doing a lot, and no virus will stop us. And also I would like to say that, yeah, this thing of the virus is for sure real because we've seen suffering people, we've seen coffins. There is a big problem, and whatever was an accident or, as I told before, there is a responsibility. But actually, the big problem, it's in our mind. We have to keep our mind free from fear. I tell everyone, because fear affects our lungs. If we live in fear, our body will fall down. If we are confident, if we know what's going around us, we will feel better and we will give a better energy. We have to dig, not only listen all day to those news, but what's going on around us, which technologies are being developed, it's time to study, improve as a person, and be free, be confident to keep your health high, because the fear of the mind is the real virus. And it took me a few days to realize that.
That's true. True, great words by my friend Anthony Drago here. Anthony, thank you so much for being a part of this, man. This is a true honor for me that finally we are actually talking, and we're talking on this medium. And hopefully we can actually transcribe this interview, and we can also broadcast it later on different other social media platforms, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, my friend.
Thank you so much, my friend, and you have a good Friday night, and, you know, best of luck, man.
My friend, I thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to talk with you. True metal never fades. We are the best. Use your energy in the best way. Here we go. rock and roll.
Yes, sir. See you. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.